from the Institute of Education Sciences. Welcome to the 8th Annual EdGames Expo and to this masterclass which explains a model to support social and emotional learning. This model was developed over the past 2 decades by a nurse researcher at New York University. In addition to supporting children's cognitive skills, schools are increasingly committed to enhancing children's social and emotional development. Indeed, many of us agree that academic and social and emotional skills are intertwined and have lifelong implications for establishing and maintaining supportive relationships with family and friends and in adulthood with colleagues. Today's masterclass features insights into children's temperament, a social and emotional learning intervention with programs for elementary school teachers and parents, and a classroom curriculum for the primary grades. Insights was developed and tested with funding from the Institute of Education Sciences and the National Institute of Nursing Research. After the masterclass, stay tuned for an engaging and informative Q&A with members of the Insights team and early education teachers. We'll discuss how children's social and emotional skills can be supported during these unprecedented times. Now, off to Frederico the Friendly in Connecticut, who I've heard is really excited about meeting you.
La, 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 la.
Give a little time for the child within you. Don't be afraid to be young and free. Undo the locks and throw away the keys and take off your shoes and socks and run. La, 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 la.
Whoa, Hillary, come see the teachers. They're waiting for us to tell them how they can use puppets to support children's social and emotional skills. This is so exciting.
Frederico, I cannot come out. I'm not ready.
What?
I've been working on our script for 2 weeks, and I still don't have it right.
Hillary, I'm sure your script is really good, so bring it out here and let's meet the teachers.
Oh, I need more time. Why don't you entertain them for a while? You are really good at that.
Okay, but hurry up, okay? Otherwise the teachers are going to start getting bored, and then they'll start wiggling in their seats, and then they'll start making paper airplanes. But I know from personal experience what happens when people get bored. Hola, teachers! My name is Frederico the Friendly, and I'm one of the puppets from Insights into Children's Temperament.
Thanks, Frederico. I'll take over now. Hello, teachers. As I'm sure you already know, children have different temperaments, which is another word for personalities. For example, I'm Hillary the hard worker, and my temperament is industrious. I like to get things done right. I have noticed, however, that not all of my classmates appreciate my advice. You've already met Frederico the Friendly. He's very social and quite willing to try just about anything.
We have other friends as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gregory, come on out and meet the teachers! Dude! What the? I'll go get him.
Gregory!
I'm playing my favorite video game right now. Can't they wait?
Gregory, we only have 7 minutes to introduce ourselves, so come out now.
Okay. Hi. I'm Gregory the Grumpy, and my temperament is high maintenance. Or so they say. Most classrooms have at least one student like me. Let me explain. I have lots of energy, so sitting still is not easy for me. Of course, it doesn't help that I quickly lose my focus and I start wiggling. I've heard people say that I'm grumpy, but that's just me being honest. When something bothers me, I will let you know.
Saying Gregory is honest is putting a positive spin on his grumpiness. We've learned how to do that in Insights.
You know I'm standing right here, don't you?
What? Oh.
Hey, why isn't Coretta here?
Oh, well, you know Coretta is shy,
Mm-hmm.
but she did promise that she would meet the teachers, so let me go get her. Oh, Coretta, you are really going to like the teachers. Come on out and meet them. Oh, don't worry, Coretta.
I can tell these teachers are really nice.
Hi, I'm Coretta the Cautious, and my temperament is slow to warm. It takes me a while to feel comfortable with new people. You could say that I'm shy.
Yeah, I'd say you're shy.
Well, could we bring out Dr. McClowry now?
Okay, I guess it's my job to introduce you to Dr. Sandy McClowry. She developed insights into children's temperament. But I gotta warn you, Dr. McClowry is a human. Dr. McClowry, take it away.
Thanks, Gregory. A universal need of all humans is to be loved and understood.
Wait! Puppets want to be loved too.
Of course they do, Gregory, and puppets are lovable. That's why we use them in Insights. Insights is about relationships, learning who we are and learning how we interact with others. The relationships your students have with you and with their classmates are so important because they help us understand that people are different. Puppets in Insights are fun. They're also therapeutic. They teach the children that they can say things that they're really feeling through the puppet and have no fear that they're going to be punished. They also can try on different personalities and different ways of interacting with people, all through the puppets. They understand and they soon learn that what's easy for one puppet is more difficult for another. In our parent and teacher program, the adults learn that what works for one child is unlikely to work for another. To use puppets in your classroom, channel your own 6-year-old. Well, hi, Hillary. The characters and their dilemmas will carry the lessons. All you have to do is just enjoy and relate to your students. Now, I have to admit, I'm not a particularly good puppeteer. However, the children have always been very forgiving of my technique. This is, however, a master class, so we have 2 professional puppeteers who are going to teach you some simple puppetry techniques.
Hello, I'm Harry Lacoste, and I'm a puppeteer.
And I'm Sarah Nolan, and I am also a puppeteer. Harry and I are going to share some basic puppeteering techniques and character tips with you all to help bring your Insights puppets to life in the classroom. Practicing with these puppets, either by yourself or in front of a mirror, is a great way to discover what's most comfortable for you before you introduce these new friends to your students.
The Insights puppets are basic moving mouth hand puppets. When using one single character, you're going to use your dominant hand, and your hand inside the puppet will look like this. This bag is where the characters live, and these puppets are for teachers' use only. When I put the character on, I like to hold the bottom with my non-dominant hand and then put my arm all the way inside till I find the grip. And then when I pull the character out, my thumb becomes the jaw of the character. My wrist becomes the neck of the character, and my arm becomes the puppet's body. I can use my free hand to help use this hand if we want to. There you go.
Each Insights character really has their own entrance. Coretta, for example, she's very shy, so she actually won't come out until it's very quiet. Coretta, it's quiet now. So the first thing that happens when a puppeteer works with a puppet is breath. That is the real way to bring life to a puppet. So I need to make sure that my breath is matching with Coretta. Yeah. The second thing I like to think about is focus. Where is the puppet looking? Is she looking up when she comes out? That kind of tells us that she's kind of curious or having a nice day, right? But if she comes out and she's maybe holding her breath, Looking around, she's a little scared. So focus and breath can tell us how a puppet is feeling immediately. After you've played with focus and breath, another way that we can tell what a puppet thinks is yeses and nos. So if Coretta is listening and she agrees with something, yeah. Oh, but if she disagrees, she'll say no. Maybe if she's listening, she'll tilt her head to the side. So after you've kind of mastered that, I would start playing with lip sync. And lip sync is basically when you are opening your hand on every syllable. And that makes it look like the puppet is talking. So the basic thing to start with is A, B, C, D. I like to think about the voice of the puppet coming from the back of the throat. So I'm almost pushing the voice out. So A, B, C, D. And you're opening your mouth on every syllable. You gotta watch out for W. Another thing to watch out for with lip sync is when you open the mouth, really it's about dropping the thumb. So it's dropping the lower jaw, because if you end up just raising up the top four fingers, then you've got this what we call up flap. And you lose the puppet's focus and she looks a little wild. So just make sure you've got a nice lower jaw drop. Thank you.
When you're ready to try different voices for the characters, try playing with pitch and tempo. Pitch is how high they will speak or how low, and tempo is whether they will speak really fast or really slowly. When I use Freddie, I like to speak with a very fast tempo. And Coretta, well, I speak with a high pitch and a very slow tempo. Yeah, you do. Sometimes I think about people that are in my life that remind me of each character's personality. Oh, yeah? That's true. That's funny.
Even though I'm, the teacher performing, I'm going to actually listen to Coretta when she talks. And this helps guide the students' focus. Are they looking at you? Are they looking at the puppet who's talking? So what I like to do is make sure that if I'm talking, I'm looking out and maybe Coretta's listening to me. But if Coretta starts to talk, oh, look at that. You're listening to me. Yeah, I'm listening to her. And that really helps guide the focus of the audience.
If there's a dilemma between two puppets, practice listening with one while the other one talks.
But Hillary, I'm so bored.
I know, but maybe we could get a book from the library.
Okay.
And then when we put the characters back in the bag, we try to keep them animated until they're inside their home. It's more fun that way.
A great way to practice your 4 different insides characters is just entrances and exits. Have them come out of the bag, look around for a minute, and go back in. So here's Frederico. So even without words, we know that Frederico is a happy-go-lucky kid. All you need is breath and movement.
Everyone's going to have their own version of each character. Hi, I'm Hillary, and I think it's time we get back to work.
I'm Coretta the Cautious.
I'm Gregory. Is it time to go yet?
I'm Frederico the Friendly.
Practice with them as much as you like before you go in front of your classroom. Working with a mirror is also helpful, especially when you're working with your lip sync. And remember, just take it slow.
Children are mesmerized by these puppets, so you don't have to go over the top to get their attention. They'll come to life right before your eyes. Pretend that these puppets are students in your classroom. If you listen to them and respond to them honestly, your students will start to believe it too. And don't forget, have fun. If you have fun, your students will have fun too. Bye.
The Insights puppets also teach children how to problem solve and deal with their dilemmas. We have many versions of Insights puppets. You've seen the big ones. We also have these mitten puppets that most teachers use in their classroom. However, we also have our freebies, which are available on our website. In the next section, you're going to see children working with the lollipop puppets, resolving some dilemmas. So the first dilemma we're going to see involves some of our favorite puppets, right? So what we're going to do is we're first going to see the video, and then you kids are going to help me think about what that dilemma is. All right.
Ha ha! You guys look dumb! What are you playing, dress up? That's for babies!
Stop. Recognize a dilemma. Caution. Think and plan. Go. Try it out.
What just happened? Who can tell me what happened in that really brief video?
So they was playing, like, I guess, pretend, and then Gregory came up, and then he said, "Oh, isn't just for babies? You look dumb."
He did. Okay. So what's the dilemma? That's what happened. What is the dilemma?
That he's annoyed.
He was annoying, wasn't he? Okay. He annoyed both Hillary and Coretta. What can Hillary and Coretta do now that we have this dilemma? Jackson?
You can tell a parent or somebody that he's annoyed.
They could tell a parent that Gregory's being, or a teacher that Gregory's being annoying. Okay.
They could just walk away.
They could just walk away and keep playing, right? Okay. What about my idea that they say to "Oh, Gregory, you're a turkey"? Okay.
Maybe they can try to get Gregory into playing dress up too.
Oh, interesting. Okay, they could invite Gregory to dress up and play with them. So now we've got some choices there, right? So let's go over what our choices were so we can decide which one we like. Sloan, tell us again what your idea was.
They can just walk away and keep playing.
Yeah, they could walk away. Is that a helpful one or a not helpful one or something in between? What do we think?
Helpful.
That's a helpful one. Tegan thinks it's a helpful one. Sloan, do you agree that would be helpful?
Helpful.
Okay. And Jackson agrees that would be helpful. Okay. All right. Is my idea of saying, Gregory, you're a turkey, a helpful one or a not helpful one? Not helpful? Okay.
A turkey.
It's it's a turkey of an idea, right? Okay. How about the idea? Tegan, what was your idea?
They can invite Gregory to play dress up with them.
I think that could be helpful. Maybe that's why he's being annoyed, because he's not playing. Let's decide to try it out with one of these ideas.
Gregory, can you come and play dress up with us? What do you want to be?
Sure.
What would you like to be, Gregory?
I would like to be a pirate with the parrot on the top of my hat.
Okay, that sounds like fun. So we could do this now and play again with all three of the puppets together. Okay, Sloan, can you hold up Coretta? Okay, Coretta, do you think this is a good idea? to deal with our dilemma? Yeah, okay. All right. So we just have one more thing to do, and that's to ask if any of you kids have had a dilemma. Tegan, I see your hand up. What was your dilemma?
One time, me and my friend from school had a play date in the snow, and we went to go play on my playground. And he tried to give me an icicle, and I didn't ask him, but he threw the icicle at me, and it went and the water and the snow went dripping down my shirt.
Oh, this didn't happen in Florida, did it? Right, Sloan? No. Okay. All right. What was Tegan's dilemma? Jackson, what was Tegan's dilemma?
He threw the icicle at her.
Yeah, he threw some ice at her and it went dripping down her shirt. Okay. How can we help Tegan with her dilemma? What's our thinking plan?
To tell her friend that wasn't nice.
Oh, okay. Tell the friend it wasn't nice. Okay. How about let's throw more snow on the friend? Okay, we've got 3 ideas, okay? One was move to Florida so you don't get to play in the snow. Is that helpful or not helpful? Nah, you're not buying that one. Okay. How about throw some snow on your friend? Tegan, you thought that would be a helpful idea? Jackson saying no. What do you think, Sloan? No, no. How about Sloan's idea? Tell your friend that wasn't nice. Yep, you could do that in a really firm voice. Let's see if we can try it. Let's pretend that Frederico threw the snow on Hillary.
That wasn't very nice.
Okay, yeah. So sometimes we just have to remind our friends that what they're doing is not what friends do, okay? And Sloan just told Frederico that wasn't very nice. But we're not gonna move to Florida, even though it's really cold today, and many of us would like to be there with Sloan. All right, you guys did such a good job helping us explain how we do dilemmas and insights. Oh, I see some dancing puppets over there. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Fluffernutter sugar pops. I'll hug you and kiss you and love you. Love you. Love you. Love you. Love you. Love you. La 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 la.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Emily Doolittle, and we're going to turn now to a discussion with some teachers and school counselors who have watched the masterclass on insights into children's temperament. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that children might be facing as they are transitioning through this incredibly challenging time of the pandemic. And as teachers and principals and school administrators are trying to navigate this really strange world we're living in, where instruction's happening online and some people are hybrid, and really hopefully by the fall, children will be back in classrooms. So I wanted to start by throwing a question out to the group. And Sandy G, I will put you on the spot to start us off if that's okay. And I guess if maybe I could hear a little bit from all of you on what are you anticipating as being some of the biggest mental health challenges that your younger students, like your kindergartners, first graders, second graders, the kinds of things they're going to really be dealing with as they potentially face entering a classroom in person for the first time, or maybe after a very long period of time. So Sandy, if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So there's been so much uncertainty for young kids, and there have been a lot of increases in mental illness in kids from, young kids through adolescence. So we know that our young kids are experiencing anxiety, rates of depression have increased. Some of the things they experience are associated with difficulty concentrating in the classroom. The anxiety that kids experience also impact their sleep. And we know that young children without sleep can have difficulty focusing, managing behaviors, regulating their emotions. They're scared and worried, some of them. And having said that, a lot of kids are going to be just fine. I don't want to just, focus on the challenge, the kids with challenges. A lot of kids, they're resilient and they'll be fine. But I think that we can expect a lot of kids to come back who are afraid to separate from their parents. They've been with them. Some of them may have experienced the trauma of a loss of a family member because of COVID. So I think they're going to have a lot of challenges.
Okay, so Sandy, you've made so many good points here and raised so many issues, but actually this is the perfect opportunity to turn this over to Sandy McLaury, the developer of Insights, because you have just noted something very important. There will be a range of needs for children coming back to the classroom. Some will be fine, others will find it more challenging, and the challenges will be really different depending upon the child. So Dr. McLaury, could you please tell us a little bit about Insights? Because I think there are many, what I know about Insights from working with you over the past decade or so, that this is sort of like exactly what Insights is all about. So tell us more.
So Insights focuses on children's social emotional learning. And it's hard to practice your social and emotional skills when you're home alone without classmates. So this is going to be a time when the kids are back in school and are going to start interacting with friends as opposed to parents and siblings. We just saw about the dilemmas. And I was working with a child on dilemmas a couple of weeks ago, a second grader, and she said to me, wait, Dr. McLaury, are these old videos? And I thought, yeah. And she said, are they older than 2019? And I said, yeah. And she said, the puppets are not social distancing and they're not wearing masks. And when you think about how the kids have been conditioned, and now if they're going to be in classrooms and going to be able to interact, that conditioning of I can't be with my friends, I can't touch, all of those things are activities that teachers are going to have to deal with. But fortunately, I think Insights is very flexible, and Phil and Eileen can probably answer more to that, so that whatever the dilemmas are, we'll be able to deal with them with the kids and the teachers.
Thank you, Sandy. So Phil, since your name was called out, maybe I will turn it to you to respond to what Sandy just said, but then I also have a follow-up question for you.
Okay, you said you had a follow-up question for me?
Well, so if you could talk a little bit more about sort of some of those things that Sandy was describing, sort of like how, students haven't had those opportunities, during this past several months, over a year now, and sort of how you are thinking about how you'll work with your students as they're kind of making that transition back, where maybe they've, really been kind of isolated, right?
Right. Okay. So many of the videos, they have dilemmas where students are working with each other. So because of the pandemic, we know that, that has been almost eliminated. So I'm thinking maybe when the kids get back to probably, like Sandy mentioned, to definitely make it more flexible with having them like, listen, guys, I know we're coming out of the pandemic and, you're so used to and conditioned into, hey, 6 feet, 6 feet. So I think easing back into the way how we used to be before the pandemic would definitely be a way the students can definitely get those dilemmas that they may be having under control.
No, that's great. And Eileen, did you want to add to that?
Well, I think, I think if there's one thing I've learned from the past years, the amount of newness and novelty there is all over the place and all over around us. And I think one of the beautiful things about sort of the framework for insights is that there's a nice solid framework for how to approach dilemmas. It doesn't really matter what the dilemma is. And so, there's a good grounding and in the wonderful stop, think it out and, think and plan and try it out. I think it'll give students and educators a forum for thinking about what the dilemmas are as they're identified by students, and then thinking how to brainstorm together when there may not be a great answer. And I think there's comfort in children being able to sort of create that when so many things are out of their control. Here they have a way to think together as a team and individually and contribute their ideas, and then having somebody to help reframe those and bolster and emphasize the ones that might be really good ways to solve a dilemma.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, thinking about that as that structured opportunity or kind of that space to work that out. So I want to shift gears just slightly and sort of thinking about the flip side of this challenge, right, that we're facing in schools as we're thinking about this transition back, hopefully to in-person, full-time. And that's to invite some of the teachers. I don't know, maybe if Maria, you want to comment on this, or Phil, if you have any thoughts about this. But this idea of what do you as teachers see as your biggest challenge? So you personally, what are you maybe sort of dreading or worrying about? And because we focus a lot on the students, which I think is absolutely important, but in my opinion, equally important is the teachers and the adults who are responsible. And so what are you thinking about as maybe some of the things that you need to plan for or anticipate, again, around sort of students' social emotional learning needs, and maybe some of the more behavior kinds of issues in the classroom? So I don't know, Maria or Phil, whoever would like to maybe jump in.
I can go ahead and say that I'm very concerned about their anxiety levels and working through the problems that they might have or perceive going into a situation where there's a lot of stimulus again and a lot of people, person-to-person interaction that they haven't had for a year other than through the screen. I watched the video, and I do think that Insights gives a lot of opportunities to empower the children to articulate and communicate their concerns, and a framework that they can do a lot of problem solving together.
Oh, that's great. No, I think those are, two really important things for that anxiety, and then just literally the stimulation, right? Sort of how young children sort of handle that and how you help them with that. Phil, maybe before you say something, Sandy, do you want to say a little bit sort of about the program and sort of how it might be utilized for those kinds of scenarios, and thinking through that for how a teacher might tackle those challenges in the classroom?
Well, I think one of the strengths of Insights, and certainly we didn't plan this when we planned it 20 years ago, but one of the strengths is that there is a teacher and a parent program also, because it isn't just the kids who've had to go through this. Of course, their parents have too. And so the opportunity for teachers and parents to learn about children's different personalities and different strategies to use. And I know one of the comforts that we always see is finding out it's not just my kid. Other parents are struggling with this, or other teachers. Classroom management has always been a challenge for teachers. And now under these circumstances, it's going to be even a larger challenge, especially when teachers are dealing with their own transition back into the classroom.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's really helpful. Okay, so I think we're gonna hold off on Phil going because I think her video might be frozen. So we're gonna to move on. So Eileen or Sandy, maybe one of you could talk a little bit more about, like I'm thinking about sort of like how would you specifically use the puppets, right? So like, because, with this remote learning, obviously the tangible kind of interactive aspects of the puppets and having them in the classroom. So maybe talking through a little bit more about how the puppets themselves, which is the part of Insights that I've always loved, and what I think makes it really special, sort of really how those can be leveraged, especially with these young children, sort of developmentally. Tell us a little bit more about that aspect of the puppets.
Eileen, why don't you go first?
Well, I think when I think of the puppets, and Sandy, you're very engaging and look lovely today, but I'm drawn to the puppets in your background, right? They're engaging, they're fun, they're non-threatening. And I think what's one of the things sort of I love beyond what they look is just the range of personalities and perspectives and moods and all sorts of dispositions that they have, that I think all children can identify with at least one of them, and sometimes more than one. So I think there's the engaging with the puppets as sort of a medium to be able to work through sometimes things that can be threatening and scary. I mean, talking about dilemmas and thinking about how to solve them is can be scary for some children, and having the puppets to sort of help them along, I think makes it an easier process. And we know the power of play, particularly in early childhood, how that's a really good mechanism for all sorts of learning.
The puppets are intended to increase children's empathy skills. So they not only learn that the puppets are all different from each other and they have temperaments that I've identified in my research, but the kids learn very quickly. That's what's easy for one puppet may be more challenging for another, and vice versa. And therefore, when they're dealing with their friends, learning how to treat a Coretta the Cautious, a shy child in the classroom, as a friend might be different than the way you handle Gregory the Grumpy. And yet, they're all unique. They all have strengths. We emphasize that a whole lot. So I think that gives all the kids a chance to self-identify, but also to understand that everybody's not made up the same way as I am inside. And we all tend to think that way until we learn otherwise.
So yeah, such a powerful aspect of the puppets, and what's so critical of that age, right, for that developmental age group. So all right, so I think unfortunately Phil's video is still not working, so I'm gonna switch gears slightly, and I would like, Sandy, I think this is for you or Eileen, but I guess maybe I will start with let's see if Maria is still here, or Sandy G. Like sort of Insights has a sort of a parent program as well, right? There are materials for parents, things for parents to use. Oh, Phil's back, which is great. Okay, so Bill, I'm going to finish this question. So what kinds of things in terms of how you're working with parents around the transition back to school are you sort of anticipating or planning for or thinking about? And then, sort of Sandy or Eileen, sort of how might Insights sort of facilitate that aspect of the transition back? So I don't know if Maria or Phil or Sandy, if one of you wants to talk about sort of the parents and all of this. Sandy, do you want to go ahead, Sandy G?
Well, I was going to say, I would like to hear what Maria is saying because she's actually in the classroom and will be dealing with parents. I have thoughts about the issue, but she could speak to that.
Cool. Great. Thank you.
I think it's going to be a time of rebuilding the relationships that we maybe once had with parents as they bring their children back to school, just starting before the doors even open, and communicating, letting them communicate what their thoughts are and their fears are, so that those can be addressed right from the get-go.
Yeah, such a good point. Sandy, do you want to build on that?
Sure. Sandy mentioned the parent and teacher programs that go along with the child program. And I think the return to school, I think the parents would benefit so much from the parent program because they're stressed. And a lot of parents are nervous and uncertain about their children's safety when they go back into the building. And when parents are stressed, they feel that stress too. So I think those components together, the child program and the teacher, but really including the parents, might help ease that transition for the parents and the kids.
Thank you. So we are nearing kind of getting to the end of our Q&A session. And I would be very remiss in my role as a program officer at IES if I didn't ask a very specific question about the research behind this program. And so, Sandy, I was wondering if there's a lot I would be happy to brag about, and I could point out all sorts of papers and cool things. But what do you feel like is the most important thing that the research is showing about insights and how it can really support students?
I think the consistent thing is, yes, we do get academic outcomes. And since this is the Institute of Education Sciences, I think I should mention that. But we also get a lot of behavioral outcomes for the kids. When comparing the kids to the control group, the Insights kids' behavior problems went down in the classroom, as opposed to those that went up in the control schools. Also, kids at home, the same kind of thing, even helping parents deal with kids who would be identified in other programs with ADHD, but are not in Insights. We have a much more gentle approach. And so I think I'm very proud of the behavioral ones, and not only disruptive behavior, but for the children who are shy. Those are the kids we're really concerned about too, particularly going back in school, giving them the resources and their teachers and parents to deal with them.
Thank you, Sandy. No, that's great. So I want to thank everyone so much for participating today, even with our technical glitches. Thank you to our teachers, our facilitators, everyone who's taken part. And we are going to wrap this up now. Thank you again.